different.
I am the world changer, coded by the blue storm. My number is 19, the power of all number. I am the master alchemist, the force behind the philosopher's stone. Skilled at the art of transmutation. I am the catalytic transformer of world consciousness and planetary living. I oversee the changes of the weather. I am the thunder that shatters your world systems. I am the transport of clouds filled with lightning to illuminate the truth behind your illusions. I am the bringer of the drenching rains that purifies. It was I who caused the triple Aztec monuments of the Avatar archetype to appear in the ancient temple grounds. I oversee the morning and the evening stars. I behold the creator of the fifth sun, the present world. Sent forth am I to dwell among you, calling forth the sixth sun. For the great regeneration of the world's soul, to know me is to know your own power of self-generation. To know me is to know your own power of self-generation. Self-generation is power. I am the transport of clouds filled with lightning to illuminate the truth behind your illusions. I am the bringer of the drenching rains that purifies.
All right, welcome to Synchronistic Talk, and really excited about this session. We're going to be talking about a very important topic, and that is the damaging effects of self-criticism. And we've been really the last few moons, we've been talking about the shadow work. So it's one thing to talk about enlightenment and things that inspire us. And here we go. We're excited about these new things that we can focus in on. And then it's another thing to be able to talk about the shadow work where we can identify the blockages that's keeping us from accessing enlightenment or things on the path of enlightenment. So it's very powerful for us to talk about these particular things, because for those of us who are on the path of evolution, we are moving in an upward spiral, and we are expanding and evolving into our cosmic memory. So when we talk about this, although it may seem like it's not a big deal, that's not something that applies to me, but haven't you noticed that sometimes things kind of crop up right before you're about to be successful? It's like, what in the heck is going on here? I know this deal was sealed, and now all of a sudden it's not working. Everything's falling apart. And let me tell you why that oftentimes happens, because we haven't done our shadow work. We haven't dealt with things we could have dealt with before we've gotten close to our success. And so now it's an issue. So I want to welcome everyone to the Synchronistic Human. This is a very powerful platform. It's an incredible place to evolve. Let's talk about what synchronicity is and how it works on our behalf. Synchronicity refers to the underlying cosmic intelligence that synchronizes people, places, and events in a meaningful, and I can substitute for that word, purposeful order. We experience synchronicity when an outer event corresponds to our inner thoughts, perceptions, and feelings. All right, very powerful. So this is an energy that's already working to our advantage. And many a times we're not in a position to really see this meaningful order when we're focused on the different day-to-day things that we have to do to keep our life going, on a weekly basis. All right. And so the synchronistic human defined is someone who is able to be multidimensional, I would add in there, and multifaceted, while unifying energy from the synchronicities of natural time cycles. All right, so we got to get on natural time and towards the holonomic evolution of humanity, Mother Earth, and the galactic whole. So all of this is connected in the field of energy. We are systems inside of larger systems. And whoever owns your time owns your mind. Change your time and change your mind. Change your mind. And guess what, family? You can change your world. In this moment, you can change your world. So those of us that work in the synchronistic school of evolution with us, we follow the 13 moon synchronometer, right? And the 13 moon cycles, the lunation cycles, have a mean average of 28 days each. So there's 13 cycles of 28, which is 364 days, and one what we call magnificent day out of time, a celebration of peace and culture, etc. So we're in the 12th 28-day cycle now. These cycles start July 26th based on star Sirius A and Sirius B. And so that's Sirius. And so it's very powerful because that star is almost 3 times the size as our sun. And so what's significant about that is there's so much, and we can go into after the eclipse. I was just having a conversation with a very sharp individual here in Atlanta, and it was talking about how the sun was being blocked out after the eclipse. And it showed me all these pictures of the sun, how it looks so much different now than it did prior to the eclipse. And then now to be thinking about the second creation, that we are following the lunation cycles that are tied to Sirius A and Sirius B because of whatever manipulation they have with nature and what's going on with the sun. If you think about it, if you all remember in the eclipse, it was actually an article about how there were rockets being shot up into the sun. Now it's very interesting because the sun and where it's located is different. Now all of this affects us energetically. Okay, so I don't have a lot of time to go into the details of it right now, but where does this leave your consciousness? Where in its ability to evolve beyond the artificial illusions that are presented to us through these programs, through this system that we live in. And so this 13 moon cycle helps disrupt those illusions, disrupt the programming, and gives us the synchronicities to follow that guides us by the divine light. So that's why we do it. And I'll tell you, the Galactic Maya, the Olmecs, some of the indigenous cultures, the Dogon, they follow these cosmic cycles, and it helped them become more telepathic. It opened their mind in ways that they didn't know it could be open. Okay, so very powerful experience that we have in this process with the third. So you have to follow it. So check this out. We're in the white overtone wizard year, or what we call a solar cycle of timelessness, which is unending evolution of consciousness. Think about that. When we say it's 2024, we don't necessarily say it's unending evolution of consciousness. We say it's 2024. It's going to be a great year, right? And what else does it say? Supreme receptivity to receive the light. There's a language of light. There's light codes. There's the power of radiance that informs the fifth dimensional aspect of our being and our chakras, so that we can hear and feel our intuition, guide us into the light of consciousness, guide us into the place and space that helps us transcend ourselves. So we're in the crystal, which is the 12th moon, rabbit moon of cooperation. And we're in the first 7-day cycle. We call that a heptad, where knowledge initiates the view. And so the question, I want all of you to think about this, right? Each of these 13 moon cycles, 28 days each, they have a question to ask to help enlighten you. The question for this is, how do I dedicate myself to everything that lives? We're asking the language of light. We're asking the consciousness, how can I dedicate myself? And what is my value in doing so? Well, here's what I know. What I figured out is that the value in doing so puts you in a position and a posture where you're able, right, to dedicate yourself to all that lives. But guess what happens in its reciprocation? Everything that lives dedicates itself to your purpose. So you got nature and the power of synchronicity that has your back. All right. And so in lieu of that, you know, the plasma, so we exchanged the word day, because we're not in a daze, for plasma, because we're talking about energy. We're talking about how consciousness travels through plasma. Is Celio, which is the seventh position on the 28-day calendar, and is connected to the heart chakra, the Anahata chakra. Okay. Now, so we're tapping into that energy. Now, why do we do that? When we tap into the energy, we get more of a multi-dimensional aspect of how we are in this process. Okay. And so when we get to multidimensionality, we're able to experience the energy of it, the resonance of how the frequency in which we're operating. Okay. And it's very powerful because we get to get informed by a higher dimension of our being in terms of our higher self. So it's so powerful to be able to do so. Now you can see the calendar. For some of y'all who can see the calendar, let me just tell you, you can tap in with us, but the truth of the matter is the Gregorian calendar is now obsolete. It's obsolete because a calendar tracks for the calendars that we have followed, the calendrics that we've been taught, is a money tracking device, taxation tracking device. It's not an instrument of synchronicity. So in the new time, which in this year, this quantum leap year, the 441st year of the actual Gregorian calendar, is now evolving. So our time is evolving, right? How we approach time from the information age into the telepathic age of our experience. And it's so powerful for us to be able to do so. So you can see right here, we're on the 7th plasma, and we're also that's synchronized on the 260-day calendar, the Zolkin. And this calendar you want to follow because it helps us evolve spiritually and it helps us access our cosmic memory. So on this calendar that's synchronized here through these 260 kin, we're on 228 today, there are 52 portals. And where do you think those portals are going? Into our cosmic memory. Now, we teach some deep stuff at the Synchronistic Human School of Enlightenment, but it doesn't mean a hill of beans if you can't do your shadow work. So on these sessions in Synchronistic Talk, we're talking about things people don't want to talk about. You know, because most of us are being denial about self-criticism and some of the shadow work, but that's what's going to get your consciousness free. Okay, so kin, we're on kin number 228, which is the yellow resonant star. Let's look at what the affirmation says for us. I channel in order to beautify. All right, I channel energy in order to make better, beautify in that sense. Inspiring art, inspiring my ability to create is another way to put that. I seal the store of elegance. Okay, I remember my elegance. I remember my cosmic swag. With the resonant tone of attunement, I'm able to attune into the elegance and the essence of my being. And I'm guided by the power of universal fire or universal love, love for the universe. So we say this 2 more times to lock it in. I channel in order to beautify, inspiring art. I seal the store of elegance with the resonant tone of attunement. I am guided by the power of universal fire. One more time to lock it in. I channel in order to beautify, inspiring art. I seal the store of elegance with the resonant tone of attunement. I am guided by the power of universal fire. Ashe, Ashe, and Asheo. So now we just sent a message into the cosmos that we understand and overstand the language of light, and we're asking the language of light to send us a spiritual and physical equivalency to the signal we sent out. And guess what? It's incorruptible by modern day programming. That's what's so beautiful about this whole experience. So let's read what it says about the artist. Here's what it says. I am the artist, coded by the yellow star. 8 is the number that opens my gate. Resonant frequencies are in my palette to harmonize according to the deepest impulses of the universe. Check this out. Dare to be beautiful. I am the elegance of enlightenment. Through my art, I color your world. I am the rainbow in your day and the moon glow in your night. I am the artist. Everything that I do originates from the stars. Star being, star child, star singer is my name. I am the galactic chord resounding from the cosmic key. I invent the songs and recite the crystal oath that travels the infinite Zavuya. The wonders of ever-expanding harmonics. To know me is to ride the endless song back to the master artist of all creation. What a beautiful passage to write about the artist, the star, the 8th archetype. What can you learn from that? See, it's different to say it's Wednesday, it's hump day, it's almost Friday, close to the weekend, but we need to get to the what? To the strong end. But the artist is showing you how to color your world. It's showing you how to create on the Zavuya. And it says, I dare you to be beautiful, because you already are beautiful. You were born to be beautiful. You were born to be successful and conditioned to fail. So those conditioning has to be removed. The 8th archetype, the star is the yellow star, is the 8th archetype out of 20. Some of the qualities of this is it deals with harmony. So anytime we see this glyph, we say, how am I harmonizing? It's also called the way shower. This archetype, people who are this archetype can be able to show people way to grander horizons. And another quality is expanded love. You know, these individuals love very deep. Okay, so the 8th archetype. So some of you may be the star archetype. So if you're listening to this for the first or second time or a few times, you don't have your kin number, you need to get your galactic passport so you can access the consciousness that allows you to tap into your cosmic memory. Now, why is that important? Well, scientists say that we have over 100+ million years of memory stored in our cerebellum, but we're probably only using about 100 out of the 100 million. So what happens when we use more memory? Well, now we're operating at higher states of consciousness, and then now we're able to operate with extrasensory and telepathic abilities, and we can swift and move through faster than we can move by following these programs. Very, very powerful. So the star, right, has very strong qualities. Let's talk about the shadow. Let's talk about the shadow, family. Lessons of disharmony. It says archetypal self-doubt. And that self-doubt turns into what? Self-criticism. Now, I look at the self as the power of God in us. So anything we do to the self, we think we're doing it to the physical expression of our humanness. But when we're talking about the self is the unlimited power of God in us. So what do we look like criticizing the unlimited power and aspect of ourselves? You see? So this self-criticism is a problem. Okay, because now it tells the self who's unlimited and can offer you any experience that you want to have. Oh, you criticize me. Oh, I'm being reduced. Abundance is being reduced to money. Spirit is being reduced to an object. Okay, your wish is my command, right? And so whatever you criticize or judge, so shall you become. This is why judgment, it puts a mirror. If I point the finger at somebody, knowingly or unknowingly, I got one pointing at you and I got three pointing back at me. So anytime I find myself judging someone, I look for three different times. I either did the same thing, was a part of something that did the same thing, or could it be influenced to do the same thing? And I take my judgment out of it. This is how we evolve past things. All right. So the effects of self-criticism. Let's look at the shadow transformation and talk more about this self-criticism. Draw on love. All right. Now, we're talking about love for self. When we talk about love for self, a lot of times we think about the physical. Let me see if my lineup is good. Let me see if my beard is lined. Let's see how good I look, how good my clothes look. So that kind of self-criticism, like were you laughing at my outfit or something? You don't like the way I wore my accessorizing ability. You don't like that. That I could care less about that criticism. That's nothing. But when we get into self-criticism and we're talking about the power of God in us, and we think we're talking about something else, but really talking about the power of God in us, and we're criticizing that, we are putting ourselves in a serious disadvantage. A serious disadvantage. So we have to be careful. So draw on love for self to prune away disharmony in your life. So when I get on plasmas or kins like this, when I'm following the synchronometer, I actually say, well, for me to draw on the love to prune away disharmony, what areas do I see disharmony in my life right now? And let me tell you, it's as simple as pulling out a piece of paper and writing down what was something that I experienced that was disharmonious today or yesterday or a few days ago. Let me write that down. What's been constantly disharmonious in my life? Let me write that down. Why? So we can remove it. But let me tell you, most of us are in the pride and in denial where we say, oh, I ain't me? I'm evolved. I ain't got no disharmony. Everything is great. Really? All right, that's a great thing to say, but also you can also know in your heart, that this is an area I need to address so I can improve in. All right. So prune away this harmony in your life. It's like, cutting away the dead leaves on the tree, right? And generate harmony in your life. So when you approach situation, you looking to approach and harmonize, right? Instead of you looking at something and you go to a situation, I already don't like this situation. These people are acting like this and doing like that. They probably won't like me. And so, that's not what we do. We come in cultivating harmony. Let me find some things about these individuals that are similar to me. Oh, they just talked about the sun. I talk about the sun too. They talking about this. And you harmonize with them is another way of relating. And here's what I figured out. People don't do business with people they don't relate to. People don't connect with people they don't relate to. So harmonizing is just your way of relating to a situation, people or place or thing, so that there's harmony that's been cultivated. Now, if you come and create disharmony, then it's disharmony that you're going to experience from the energy around you. All right. So we want to be careful about that. So cultivate harmony in everything that you do. All right. Let's also talk more about self-criticism. So some of you can relate to this self-criticism. So what are some of the things that you are criticizing yourself on? Anybody want to put something in the chat to see what are you having criticism about? What do you criticize yourself about? Right? Think about it. All right, like some people may say, well, man, I'm always late. Okay. You criticize yourself. The choice, decision, there you go, Ken 18 Bliss. The choices that I make, I'm criticizing myself because I'm always seeming to make the wrong choices. There we go. Holly is saying, Holly Nay is saying, procrastination. Why do I always procrastinate? I know it's coming. Why do I keep doing this? Lack is a big one. Man, why am I always focused on lack and it's all this abundance? Is there something wrong with me? And that's what becomes implied. And as we put that impression on things, now we are putting ourselves at a serious disadvantage. I can't never focus. Why can't I never focus? Right? I can't focus. I overthinking. Why am I always overanalyzing and analyzing to keep on analyzing? And so what happens is, here's another one. Slow to get to go, to let go at times. I got some of that too. Right? And so what we do, these are great examples where we criticize ourselves, right? We criticize ourselves. And as we criticize ourselves, we start to say, wait a second. I'm criticizing myself. So now I'm bringing my unlimited power down to lack and limitation in my life. And then when I draw in the circumstances from lack and limitation, I always say there's the thinker and the prover. And do you know what the thinker thinks? The thinker thinks what the prover proves. So once you think it, you're looking for, well, where are the signs that show that my thinking is right? Oh man, see, I'm late again. Oh man, see, I can't focus again. Oh man, see, I'm overthinking again, and it's causing this problem and that problem. And so self-criticism, you criticizing the power of God in you, takes you down a downward spiral into the sunken place. It's like you are completely taking for granted that you have this power in you, and you are letting your circumstances show you the value or lack thereof in your life. And so we letting circumstances dictate to us, how we should move, if we're overreacting. Ken 38 Akil says overreacting. I used to have some of that as well. Giselle says can't focus, right? And so we're so hard on ourselves with that. We're so hard on ourselves, aren't we? Not on Facebook, not on Instagram, not on YouTube, surely not here. But let's talk about when we get off of here and you looking at the man or the woman in the mirror. And we immediately step into criticism. Look at you. Look at all that gray hair. And you you got too much pride to dye it. Dye that hair. And then somebody calls and says, man, why don't you just dye your beard? You're looking old. You'll be looking younger if you just dye it. I ain't dyeing nothing. This is my natural appearance. I don't care. You see, but we're taking the physical self and criticizing it. But what we're really doing is criticizing the unlimited power of God in us. And let me tell you, it takes us into the sunken place. Every time we criticize the self says, okay, well, let me show you what overreacting gets you. Okay, let me show you, let me send you some circumstances that's going to cause you not to be able to focus. Okay, let me show you where overthinking and overanalyzing is going to get you. Okay, let me show you where procrastination is going to get you. Okay, so what we do instead of self-criticism, we do what? I seen Bliss say it before. Cultivate harmony. Not harm, harmony. And when you look, listen, it's really cool because in harmony is money. It's money in harmony, right? It's no money in disharmony. It's instead of it's an asset, it's a liability, right? And so this is not about being money hungry. It's really about understand what are the tools and faculties that I'm working with. You know, the biggest thing, what do you all think the biggest thing that self-criticism affects? You guys participate with me. Show me, what do you think some of these, the biggest things that self-criticism, what's some of the things that affects us? How does it affect us? I say, it says prosperity is our natural state of affairs. Absolutely. And we say that, and we got to stand 10 toes on that. There you go, boy. Ambrosia, she read my mind. Akil read my mind. Johnny Boy read my mind. It affects what? Self-confidence. I want to give y'all a nugget. Can I give y'all a nugget tonight? Do you really know what self-confidence is? Let me tell you how you know you got self-confidence. We're talking about the unlimited power in us, right? Self-confidence is when something happens and the first thing you do is confide with yourself. Woo, think about that. Not get a reading. I'm not telling you not to get reading, but that's not the first thing you do. Not call Neb Teharka, not call your girlfriend or your BFF, none of that, and say, what do you think? No, the first thing you do is confide with the self. If you have an unlimited power in you, why aren't we using it? I got unlimited power. I got unlimited memory that I'm carried around in my brain every day, and I'm forgetting everything. No, ask the self, how do I tap into this memory? And then the self is going to give you an answer. And most of us going to say, oh, no, I could never do that. What? Well, what if I showed you how to do it? You could. You could do it. But we got to go to the next step and the next step. So what's the rites of passage for this process is if you have self-confidence, you're going to confide with the self, and whatever answer the self has with you, or whatever answer the self gives you through intuition, you move on it, and they call it kind of blind faith, but you move on it knowing and having complete certainty that it's going to work out in your favor. That's why they call it favor. And so that's what we got to be thinking. And we got to move boldly. And we got to even, watch this, hold the self accountable. Now, you said that this power, it's been said this power is unlimited and it's in me. Well, if it's in me, I needed to show up. I did my part. What am I missing? And then you'll get shown something else and you'll do it, and everything will just kind of fall into place. So when you're dealing with difficult situations, there's nothing more magical and powerful than for you to confide with the self, and the power of God gives you the answer. So now you can see God's face in it. And so now in the midst of adversity, you've been able to confide with the power of God in you. And now you've been able to overcome a situation that you thought was impossible. And that's when you see the power of God. That's when you build a relationship. That's how you build a relationship and confide with that power. And then now you're able to move with a different type of confidence, right? You stepping into a place and you know God is always with you and has your back. You get in a difficult situation. You get, if you lose a job, you confide with the self, and you didn't even know that the self shut down that opportunity because you done went to another level and got a better opportunity for you. And we still boo-hooing and crying over the old opportunity. Dry your eyes and ask the self, well, show me the new opportunity. And that's the power in that. Cultivate harmony. Do away with self-criticism. The other thing it creates is doubt. Self-criticism doesn't just affect your confidence, it creates doubt. That's how it affects your confidence. And when it creates doubt, I always say this: 1% doubt and you're out. 1%. You know, water doesn't boil at 211 degrees. It boils at 212 degrees. 1 degree is the difference between something boiling and something not boiling. Okay? So this is a very powerful lesson today, that you have to look for self-criticism. Now, let me tell you why we don't see it, because everybody does it. Oh, I'm old. Oh, you know, I probably didn't do that presentation that good. Did I really sound okay? So we on the verge of criticizing ourselves, right? And that creates self-doubt. And then when you doubt the self says, well, why do I give you the increase and you can't handle what you already got? Maybe I need to decrease what you already got so you can realize the power that you have within you. And so how many of you have gotten downsized, right-sized, you know, and all these kind of other things happening to you? And you're like, why is this happening to me? Because you probably don't appreciate what you got and what you have the potential to do with this unlimited power that's in us. And so we find ourselves, you know, masquerading and in mediocrity, meandering in mediocrity. But we want abundance. We want to experience abundance. You know, the two, it's like you can't have a positive and negative thought at the same time. They don't go together. So it actually cannot happen that way. Ashe? All right. So this is a very powerful thing. I want to make a couple announcements and then take some questions before we wrap up. Tomorrow, mark your calendars for a phenomenal new kin orientation. In this new kin orientation, if you don't have your kin number, you definitely need to come to this session and get the kin number. You also, for coming to the session, will get an email reading of your kin and the 5 bodies that support you. Okay. And also Moon Goddess Ambrosia, who's going to be facilitating this, is going to do a reading, an oracle reading for the kin, which is going to be kin number, right, 229. All right, so you can copy this link that's just been put in the chat. All right, or you can message me. How do I get in? It's going to be at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right? And you don't want to miss it. It's going to be about an hour, maybe a little bit over an hour, but it's going to be so inspiring. All right. Now we're getting familiar with ourselves in the new time. And the more you dive in, the more you'll see, oh, times are truly shifting. And you can shift with the time, or guess what? Get left behind. Right? Also, mark your calendar for this Sunday. This Sunday, we're going to be doing an Amplify Your Purpose session. We're going to remove third dimensional barriers, talk about how to access your cosmic memory, and how to prosper in the new time. And we'll be talking about, to do that, dissolving issues and increasing influence, right? So notice we said dissolving issues first. So also copy this link. This is going to be Sunday at 10:30 a.m. We actually start at 10:25. You don't want to miss it, because the issues is you. It's you. That's the issue. Okay. And so if we take care of us, then we get an increase of our influence, right? So we got to dissolve, resolve, or evolve issues, because it's you. And every time, that's why I say evolution is the solution, because when we evolve, it's you and it takes care of your issues. All right. So mark your calendar for that. And then one last thing, on the 24th of this month, we're going to have a 260 kin quantum leap meetup. And this is where we get all the kin together to operate as the galactic brain. All right, so we got almost half of the kin that have responded so far to what we're doing. We have some other events that are coming up. Very important. We're going to have a day out of time in Atlanta on the 25th. So I can't go through everything right now, but I'm so excited about being able to take advantage. Here's just some important dates. Take a screenshot of this. Okay, so we got the 24th. Then we got 7/7. We're going to have a big online meditation with all the kin numbers, because we want to have at least 260 kin numbers on there, right? Then we have the day out of time celebration on the 25th. And then on the 26th through the 28th, for those who really want to advance quickly, we're going to have an advanced discipline workshop. Now, we did a group coaching on Monday, and we talked about opportunities in the new time. Those of people that were on there were blown away, because we coming from a whole nother direction, because there's a new economy that's being created and all kind of different things that we ain't got no clue about and that hasn't even been thought about, right? So this is a very powerful opportunity for us, and we don't want to miss it. All right, so with that being said, is there any questions about self-criticism? Because with self-criticism, we now are in an esteemed position to do what must be done, right? When we understand what we do, self-enlightenment, not self-criticism, self-harmony, right? Self-empowerment, where we're able to remove blockages. What else is another one? Self-mastery, self-realization. Right? So these are states of consciousness that when we're in these different states, we don't experience the same thing at these other states that the people at self-criticism experiences. Or what about the level of shame? The people who are enlightened, they don't experience the same reality the people who are at shame experiences. All right. So let's go ahead and see, are there any questions anybody has about this? It depends. The question is, what's the difference between criticism and a critique? And they both are similar. A lot of times criticism comes in two forms, right? There's constructive criticism, right? And then there's deconstructive criticism, right? And so we first need to determine what kind of criticism. The destructive criticism, of course, is designed to what? Tear something down, right? Tear something down. So again, that's what self-criticism does, right? It tears it down. Or critique is more from a constructive standpoint, in my personal opinion. All right. It's from a constructive, because a critique will show you, hey, these are the things that you're doing that may be keeping you from advancing. All right. So that's the same as the constructive side of criticism. It's more of a analysis and how to include a philosophy of how to advance a certain kind of way, right? Being analytical is a critique. Here's the analysis of this. All right. So it's more on the constructive side. But the other side of criticism, right? The deconstructive, now you're destroying something with your analysis and tearing it apart. Okay, so that's the difference. I see. Great question for the thought doctor, the thought seed doctor. All right. What else? Any other? What's the difference between self-criticism and accountability? That's a great question. Accountability, let me tell you, it goes to the idea of what we call, and this is so beautiful, is self-acceptance. Look at these words: it's self-criticism, self-acceptance. You know what self-acceptance means? The person who's at that level of consciousness, this is what they're saying, and I'm going to answer the question. They're saying, I am the source and the creator of my experience. Now, if you're not saying you are the source and the creator of your experience, then something else is. So the people who have more of a victim and victimizing mentality, they don't take accountability. They do what's called blame. right? So first, before you can even be accountable, is you have to say, well, what am I responsible for? What is my responsibility in this, right? What do I have the ability to respond to? And once you take responsibility, now you are accountable for what happens, right? So with self-criticism, you're just really tearing the self down, right? Now, accountability is when you say, you know what? I did do this incorrectly, but here's what I'm going to do to correct it. So accountability takes it to another step, and it's not destructive. It's more of a critique, and being accountable for it as a critique, and then saying, now this is what I'm going to do to fix it. I'm accountable and responsible for what happened. So therefore, it's on me to fix it if it's broken. All right. So very different. That's a great question by IG Sovereign underscore CCC. I like that question. Any other questions that are out here? Let's look at this, because a lot of times we have different conflicts with this information, and these different conflicts, they put us in a position of weakness, or what we call lack. Okay. So these are good questions. Look, do your shadow work. Don't skip over that. Don't say, I'm more evolved now, I ain't got to worry about that. That's like underestimating, right? That's like treating your criticism as an underdog. You don't think it can take you out. And right when you're about to have success, everything falls apart. We what? Self-sabotage. So your self-criticism turns into self-sabotage. And right when you're about to cross the finish line, your doggone knee pop out of socket, right? Right when you're about to hit that big $1 million deal, everything falls apart and you don't even get 100,000 out of it. Right when you think you've found this companion of destiny that you can travel the world with and do this, that, and the other with, everything falls apart. You find out it's all a fluke. It's this, it's that, the other, because it's all a reflection of us and how we see ourselves. That unlimited power that's within us. This has been such a good session. I hope y'all can lay back off of the self-criticism. All right. Let's see. It looks like we got a couple more questions before we go. How would you talk to or address a family member who focuses on self-criticism? The same way you would with yourself. You have to tell them, listen, when you criticize yourself, you're putting yourself in a negative posture for the bad things to happen. Okay. So it's the same thing. If you can accept that you have this unlimited power within you, either you're going to accept that or keep criticizing yourself, and then you're going to create bad circumstances from that. And either you're going to learn from the instruction, or you're going to learn from the bad circumstances. But you're going to learn. And here's the thing. You're not responsible for your family member getting it. Once you, listen, awareness is the key to change. Even if you're talking about your children. Once you make them aware, it is their responsibility. And they're going to either learn as a child, and we got adults that still haven't learned child lessons. Do you realize that? I realize that when I do all this coaching and I go out here and talk to people, and guess what? We got to realize that. Yeah, so that was an excellent question by Eshek in 211. So you have to be really encouraging to a self-criticizer and say that we got to talk about the damaging effects. It can help you reduce your confidence. When you get in pressure situations, you're going to crack. You ain't going to thrive. All right, great question. All right, any other questions before we go? All right, so this is the season to evolve, family. Those of you that are on here, many people plug into the Synchronistic School of Enlightenment, but you need to get some of these things in place. Times are changing. We're no longer in the information age. We're in the telepathic age of our existence. And so now it is time for us to go to another level, another octave. Okay? And so again, all we need to do is have access to it. All right? All we need is the opportunity. And I want you to write this down. We all have an opportunity and no obligation. And the opportunity is to take advantage of that now. Don't wait, procrastinate, or hesitate, because later you may have other conditions like aging, like other circumstances that may slow your roll in terms of you being able to accomplish what you want. Oh, I'll do it later. You don't know that. You might, but you don't know what challenges you're going to have to overcome later. You may have to work the challenges a little bit different than you would have to do now. You're going to say, man, I wish I'd have did that when I was younger. I wish I would have did that last year when I had the opportunity. Yeah, all right, great. But you better do it now. If you wait now, the next time it come around, it could be even harder. All right. So excellent, excellent, excellent. All right. So with that being said, a really good questions. I want to thank you all for joining us today. This is really good. And the Synchronistic Talk, take this time. The next time we'll be on here, we'll be on Kin number 235. We'll be talking about vision. Vision. And so you definitely want to email me if you have any questions. But take this time seriously. Do the shadow work. That's removing the blockages out of your way so the abundant energy can flow. And it's like magic. It really is. All right. Plug in with us on the New Kin orientation tomorrow. It's going to be phenomenal because you're going to get that oracle reading, and that's going to be really helpful. Plug in with us on amplifying your purpose so you can see how to, be able to identify your purpose and be able to go further. Right? And plug into some of the other events that we're having. It's truly an evolutionary path. So with that being said, I'll say, in Lakesh, I am another you. Alakin, you are another me. Hotep, Hetipu, and Namaste. And remember, and don't you forget, evolution is the solution. All right, this is going to conclude our session. Peace.
It's just different.
I am the world changer, coded by the blue storm. My number is 19, the power of all number. I am the master alchemist, the force behind the philosopher's stone. Skilled at the art of transmutation. I am the catalytic transformer of world consciousness and planetary living. I oversee the changes of the weather. I am the thunder that shatters your world systems. I am the transport of clouds filled with lightning to illuminate the truth behind your illusions. I am the bringer of the drenching rains that purifies, spies. It was I who caused the triple Aztec monuments of the Avatar archetype to appear in the ancient temple grounds. I oversee the morning and the evening stars. I behold the creator of the fifth sun, the present world. Sent forth am I to dwell among you, calling forth the sixth sun. For the great regeneration of the world's soul, to know me is to know your own power of self-generation. To know me is to know your own power of self-generation. Self-generation is power. I am the transport of clouds filled with lightning to illuminate the truth behind your illusions. I am the bringer of the drenching rains that purifies, spies.